All right, today we are at South Canadian Meats. We got a production day. We are going to be taking product pictures. We got Connor up here working hard. Got our lighting kit set up. So it's a little behind the scenes of how we bring our product to our website for y'all to view it. So we'll kind of take y'all behind the process here and show you a little bit behind the processor. Ben's the man. He's the plant manager at South Canadian Meats, and he just brought us the goods.
Ooh, the good stuff.
Oh my goodness. And that's what we're going to be taking our pictures with. What would you say our quality of beef when you look at it? What do you think?
It's fantastic. It's unprecedented. The marbling in this meat is amazing. We love and enjoy cutting this meat.
Well, I'm glad you love handling our meat, Ben. We like making meat jokes here.
Every day, all day. That's all we do.
All right, well, we'll get to taking some photos, and we'll show you behind the scenes. And Ben's going to let us go back there and see where the real work's done here at the plant.
Check it out.
All right, thanks, Ben. Ooh, that's a ribeye right there. That's a ribeye right there, huh, Connor?
Oh, yeah.
Ooh, nice. I'd say that's like at least 16 ounces, not more. Connor's getting it all set up. I got gloves on to handle the meat. But yeah, so this is basically how like people get production shots of meat for you guys. So what we're gonna do is start building out our boxes and putting them on the paper and go from there. Ooh, look at these things. Wow, look at that rack. All right, we are gonna go in here and watch the process of taking one of our, we call them steers, Ben. That's what we call them. That's what mostly we bring, our steer calves, or every once in a while you'll have a heifer in there.
Yeah, you got to be careful about just throwing the word cow
out,
around.
yeah.
It doesn't mean.
Yeah, I mean, this isn't a fluid operation, right? So we're gonna go in here and check out the process of one of ours and cut up from start to finish. Look at here. That's a nice freezer. It's a lot of beef.
Yes, sir. This cooler will hold about 100 head, like max capacity. Max capacity, 100 head.
Wow.
We try to run it a little closer to 80 or 60 and 80 head. Everything flows a little better that way. But
Here's one of ours right there. Nice.
21 days of dry aging. You
Heck
cannot
yeah.
beat that, buddy.
Cannot beat
Flavor on
that.
that's top notch.
A lot of people on average, 14-day hang?
Yeah, normal is 14 days.
Some people, even if they're just in a hurry, they go 7-day hang on some stuff.
Yep. Yeah, that's kind of industry standard is a 7-day hang.
Yeah.
But that's definitely not, you're going to maximize your tenderness at about 14 days, and then that next 7 days you're going to gain tenderness, but not to the same ratio, although what you're adding in at that point is flavor.
Yeah.
Because that's where the meat really starts to develop some of that more richness to it, a slightly more earthy kind of feel to it. It's really the sweet spot.
You can kind of start seeing, would you consider that molding, or what do you consider that like when that look?
No, we try not to let the beef get to that
to a mold
particular
level.
point.
Gotcha.
One of the nice things about the hanging cooler in here has been designed so well that it's hard for that to
Even
occur.
start molding, 'cause there's
Even
no
over
moisture.
a longer period of time. There's a moisture, we keep everything very clean.
Yeah.
But no matter what, you're going to get that sort of discolor. Some people call it a discoloration. It's perfectly the right color it should be for 21 days.
Yes.
And it ends up trimmed. But what you're losing in that little bit, you're gaining so much more in flavor.
And what is the hardest part when you come from the organization aspect of the plant?
You know, I would say follow-up is one of the biggest things that'll bite you. But going back and finding that thing that just got set aside, that like, we're going to do that, but we're going to do it in a minute. You know what I mean? Those all get you. If you don't actually go back and get that thing that you were going to do in a minute and you forget about it, I'm sure that works on the farm the same way.
Yes, it's the same way with any business, right? Yeah.
That I think, and the other biggest hardship would be another one that I think you guys would relate to well, and that's employment and finding good help.
Yeah.
Essentially.
Yep.
This is a skilled industry.
The butcher, right?
The butcher, right?
Yep.
Yeah. A well-respected job. Well, it is still a very well-respected job, but there's just not the supply, labor supply.
And you guys essentially kind of are like a butcher shop here because you have your storefront.
Absolutely.
But you're mainly a processor
Processor first.
Yeah, exactly.
Because honestly, what we do is something that people really need.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Food.
Food.
Number one.
Healthy, correctly produced, good for you food.
Yeah. Not the. We won't say the big meat food is all I'll say.
Right. Definitely not the big three.
On average, how long does it take to cut up a whole?
So again, it's gonna depend on the size of the animal itself. You can, we'll just go with your size cattle. It takes me probably about, what do you think, 40 minutes aside?
Yeah.
Right at about 40 minutes aside.
You get about 6-7 head a day you can cut? So?
We do about 8
yeah.
at this point. That's it. Yeah. Oh, this is nice. Yeah, your products look great. New York strippers. That's right.
So if you put the bone in, does that make it Kansas City?
So the short answer to that question is no. That's the funny thing about beef too is every cut's got like 4 different names. Yeah. So people call you up on the phone and be like, "Hey, can we get this?" And you're like, "Wait, what?"
If you had to recommend one cut to somebody, what's the one cut you'd recommend?
Well, the beautiful thing about a beef is it offers you all the options, right? If you're really not into fat, which some people really are not into fat, they don't want that. I mean, lean is good. I mean, and there's some really nice lean cuts of beef that aren't just a fillet, right? So your fillet is your highest dollar lean beef cut. But if, maybe you don't live on a fillet budget, sirloins are really good. That's going to be a little bit lower in fat. If you really like the fat, then you want to do ribeye. But if you're really just like off the beaten path, I like brisket a lot. It's just so optional. Like you can do so many different things with brisket. Very, very versatile, but I love a good brisket. And tri-tip's good too, There's all the rage for flat irons, but I don't see it. If you're a fat lover, ribeyes are hands down the way to go. He's gonna weigh. Basically what's gonna happen is he's gonna weigh, do recording, because we record everything that we're doing. Catch your temperature and that kind of stuff, and then he'll roll it back, and then he's gonna come around and drop it down on this let down right here, and he'll be lowering it up and down, and then you'll see him break the 4 parts. So that is what they call an acetic acid wash. Yeah. It's an antimicrobial rinse.
Gotcha.
Long story short, it's essentially vinegar and water.
Gotcha. Okay.
But what it does is kind of acts as that another line of defense is just as far as killing anything that doesn't need to be there. Yes, exactly.
Gotcha.
Which through our USD inspection process on the kill floor, we go through a process out there called zero tolerance, which is where they literally inspect every inch of the carcass from the top to the bottom for stuff that's not supposed to be there, hair or whatever, you know what I mean? And so they do one of those rinses there as well. And then we do a second one when we pull it out. A lot of places don't do that second rinse. We do a second rinse just for that extra step, That front 4/4 is the chuck portion that he's breaking down. Chuck and arm are getting broken down off of that. So we always basically start from the head and work our way up is the way it goes. So then once something moves from the hoist to the saw, it goes from the saw to the table here. This is where everything gets cut up into what you would consider the main aspect of butchering occurs right here. Once it's done with that, we have these buckets of trim that are left, and then of course, it'll move from there to this grinder system that we have. This is actually a pretty nice little system.
Yeah.
They call it a double grinder. So everything goes into the first one. It goes through what they call a rough grind. Push it into this system, and then it mixes a little more. We get the proper blend on fat, and it actually comes out. That hose you see on the front of there is actually a bone collection system. Okay. So if we missed something over there, we would catch it here. So all the product produced should be bone free. When you're using the band saw like that, I mean that thing, it's a literal saw, right? So it can shave a piece of bone this small that you don't even see. It's definitely good to have a system like that. So once it comes out of there, that's our final grind, and then we roll that bucket into this, which will carry the whole load up and dump it straight into there. This is what they call a vacuum stuffer.
Vacuum stuffer.
And it's a portion control. This thing actually does a million things. We primarily use it for producing ground beef.
So like how many, let's say like in an hour, how many of those can you shove out in an hour?
If I could just continue to dump and not stop, 800, 900 pounds, maybe more.
Wow. I feel like we're at like Willy Wonka's chocolate factory, but it's the beef factory. That is all the ground steaks and beef trimmings that goes in with your ground beef. So I'm showing people this is what is in your ground beef. It's usually called beef trimmings, right? But for us, because all of our leftover meat goes in there, we like to call it ground steak because there's a lot of steak in there.
A lot of extra goodies in there that a lot of people don't put in there.
Yeah,
you know?
Makes it taste a little bit better.
Man, yeah, everything's got a beautiful blend. I enjoy your ground beef a lot. They really do.
For a lot of you all don't know that when you're eating ground beef from anywhere but like somewhere where you know what's in there like that, you're eating, what would you say that's in there, Ben?
Everything is in there. The good parts, there's, brisket trim and steak trim.
Not ours, the big boy.
It's like anything, they put anything in there that can't go somewhere else necessarily. I'm not saying they scrape stuff off the floor, obviously they don't do that.
It's basically the
literally like the absolute scraps. Like, whereas we have more to deal with because we're handcrafted and we're small, we can utilize all these pieces. These guys have such strict schedules and strict things, and they have to take every single piece, everything that goes through that plant is counted and documented and stripped and cleaned and set the way it needs. If they're bleaching stomachs and things like that, that all goes through there. But us, we have the ability to really take our time, make sure we've got our blend exactly right. We're not throwing in things that don't need to be in there, at all. We have the ability to really trim the trim, if you know what I mean. Yeah. This is well trimmed trim, so to speak, which really brings up the quality of that ground beef to a point that is above and beyond.
That's my point to a lot of people. If you can afford it, it's why you should buy from local.
Amen.
Or you should buy from ranchers that you know, because the processing facilities they're using are taking the time to actually make a good quality cut or ground beef, unlike the big boys.
When they say handcrafted, they mean handcrafted.
The roll stock machine that packages up all of our packaging and vac seals it all and keeps it safe so it stays for a long time when it's frozen for you guys. That's what they're getting dialed in right now. And then once that's dialed in, then they can just start churning and burning and throwing in these steak burgers and get it a really nice tight packaging for you guys. So that's what we're trying to get done today. We're testing them out. We got to get this level just right. Moment of truth. Ooh. Wow. Yeah, that looks good. Yeah, that looks really good. That looks good.
You can see the definition of each individual patty itself,
Look at all these. The fillets, the sirloins. Look pretty stinking good. So the process here is they go from the roll stock machine, come over to the labeling, and they'll get it all sorted out over here.
And so every steak is individually weighed and labeled along with the ground beef and steak burgers and such. And then it's all packed and organized. We use a computer system called VistaTrack. It's all stacked and packed and organized by animal, data processing, all that type of thing.
Packaging right here. When we take us to our fulfillment center, they know exactly what's in that box.
And then from there we go into the freezer. Everything we try to do, we keep well organized and numbered. You can see we've got everything grouped and lettered by our customers. We also try to move things in and out here as quickly as we can. It's not the biggest freezer on the face of the planet, but it works great for us. We got a system down. It has a steady heartbeat to it. The coldest heartbeat on the face of the planet. Fancy garage door. We bring everything out here. And we'll back our truck up right here and load those pallets right out. Straight over to Oklahoma City for fulfillment from us to y'all. And then from y'all to them.
This is the whole process. These are the guys who really make it happen for us, making our product look pretty here for Didier Ranch stuff. We work with great people, and it's awesome to see and know the people behind everything we're doing, and you guys are helping these people too. It's an amazing thing. Oh man, I can't get over. Look at these ribeyes sitting here. South Canadian Meats. Come out here, get some local beef. This is where we process at. It's a great place, great people, and you're helping a small local community versus those big corporations. And that Didier Ranch beef is brought to y'all. Got all of our equipment. This is backup equipment. Connor got all his equipment. We're good to go. All right, see y'all later.